friends. Hope you're doing well. So today I figured I would. My brain is always like 10 steps ahead of my mouth. So I've been thinking a lot about next year, what I want out of next year. I've kind of already set up my goal spreadsheet, and so I'm kind of just thinking about, like, I'm 39 years old, like, what do I want to happen before I turn 40, which is obviously just a completely arbitrary number, and your life does not start and stop on these milestones, whatever society thinks they may be. But there is fun. Is fun the right word? I think fun. There's a pressure to it that it does exist. That's a societal pressure and a self-imposed pressure, and it's completely arbitrary, and I will fully admit that. But that being aware of the problem does not negate the problem. You know what I mean? So there's some things that I would like to do before I turn 40, and I've been thinking about them, and I've kind of set up my goal spreadsheet to kind of go after them. Obviously, focusing more on my health and prioritizing that, especially as I'm starting to get older and I am continually having health problems. And it's just like, I'm just infection. It's all on my feet, and I'm like, okay, I've seen some research that says, like, okay, if you take care of your blood sugar well enough, long enough, like, some stuff can kind of start healing itself. Some doctors are telling me that's not true. Some doctors are saying yes. So it can't hurt, right? It can't hurt to try. But I've lost a good amount of weight. They've got my diabetes medicine, right? And now my blood sugars are much better. I've got the sensors, so now I know kind of where my blood sugar's at and what foods are causing spikes. And the interesting thing is, like, it's not consistent. Like, I'll eat a food one time and it'll just straight to the moon, and then I'll eat it at other times. So there's a lot of variables that go into it. It's very confusing. I think if you are recently diagnosed type 2 diabetic, the best thing, get one of these sensor things. They're expensive. I pay, because my insurance doesn't cover it, which is wild because I feel like I have okay insurance. But for whatever reason, I probably need to go in there and argue with them, like, hey, I have a partial amputation because of my diabetes. I think I should know what my fucking blood sugar is whenever I want to, And also, it's like, it's $75. It can't be that much cheaper to get the stick lances. You know what I mean? So it's $75 a month. If I was using the lances, like, as often as you're supposed to, which is like 6 to 8 times a day, where you fucking poke your finger, which no diabetic likes to do, yeah, it would be way higher. But they're saying because I'm not insulin dependent, I don't need it, which is technically true. If I don't know what my blood sugar is, it's not gonna kill me. And there's a lot of times where I go most of the day without checking it, because I kind of just know, like, oh, I ate pretty good today, or I didn't eat anything at all, but it's fine. And I don't ever really experience crashes or lows, and by I don't really, I mean, it's only happened one time, and then I got an email the next day that said my sensor experienced an error, and somehow they knew that. So, interesting stuff. So, yeah. Anyway, back to the point of the story that I started 4 minutes ago. What do I want before I turn 40? There's some things. The one thing that I've always been able to do, and I think this stems from, like, childhood, is I've always wanted to be able to do a pull-up, a chin-up, whatever. I wanted to be able to unassistedly get my dumb fucking chin over the bar, whether it's underhand, overhand, I don't care. I just want to do that, just straight. Whoa. I want to do that at least one time. So I put that in the goals for next year. It's a bonus goal, and so the bonus goal is do 100 pull-ups, because the idea is, like, if just doing one, that shouldn't count for, like, a shitload of points. But granted, it's gonna take a fuckload of effort to get that first one, but then keep doing them, because realistically my max will be one for a long time. I mean, one per day would, even once you get to one, 3 days later you try again, you might not be able to get it. You know what I mean? Like, it's a touch and go. You really got to build up to it and then keep building on it. So that's one thing I've always wanted to do, and what's like a fitness goal? A like a financial goal. I don't know if that's the right term, but I've always wanted to buy a house, have a house, be like, this is my house. I can paint the walls, I can hang shit up. I don't gotta ask the fucking landlord if I can put a pull-up bar in my door jamb. I can just do it. We're close. I think I've got debt to finish paying off, which we've just recently completed, like just a bunch of work, and there's some more stuff coming out down the pipeline payment wise, and it's 5 figures worth of payments, and that almost takes care of all the debt I have left. Unfortunately, I did build up some more debt from just like not sending invoices, because I'm irresponsible. But it's like I feel like once I have no debt, because at my worst I had a lot of credit card debt because I got on the cycle of like, buy camera on credit card, I'll be able to pay it off because I got a big job coming, and then the big job would come, and then I would have other things to pay for, and then it wouldn't prioritize paying off that credit card, and then that 0% interest rate went away, and you're like, fuck, okay, and then you're stuck on that debt treadmill because your monthly payment is like $300, but the interest is like $200, so you're only really paying off $100 at a time, and on a $10,000 credit limit, it takes fucking forever to get there. You know what I mean? And then you spread that $10,000 on just one card, you max that out, and then you get a second card, and you get a third card, and like before you know it, they're all maxed out. Like, good job, dipshit. And then you're just stuck on that debt treadmill, which is kind of how my 30s have been. So really, I guess the first financial goal there is be debt free, have no debt, owe nobody nothing. I don't remember when the last time in my life that was true. I don't think, because even when I moved out of my parents' house, and I don't know if I probably got a credit card right then, just as like emergencies. But even then, I had a car payment to take care of, and so that still would have been, when I was 23, it's 13, 16 years, Jesus. In that time, you could have had a child and taught them to drive, and I would have been in debt that whole time. And you think about how that's fucked me into the future for retirement savings, like, pretty badly, so get out of debt. And then the 40s will be about building wealth, so then buying a house. Whether or not that happens before I'm 40, I don't care as much, but being in a position to do it, we've got, between me and my wife, if we're going max all out, all push all in, all the chips, which you wouldn't, it's not smart to do that, because if you buy the house, and like, A, you're gonna need things for the house, like inevitably there's gonna be stuff you need, like right off the jump, but B, you gotta have something for maintenance if something goes wrong right away, something the inspection didn't catch. You gotta have some cash just set aside, a house emergency fund. But if we did push all in, we got about 30 grand. So that's definitely down payment. In my town, you could get a pretty solid house for $250, and I think that's about the range we're looking at. Because there's certain things we want, and the unfortunate reality is you have to go up a certain tier of houses to get these things. Like, we really want to have an ensuite with a bathtub, and preferably like a pretty nice bathtub, a pretty nice shower. And it's like, that's bougie, yes, but like, in an ideal world, we're buying one house and we're done with it. Excuse me. Especially like looking at things, and I don't think we don't really want kids, and we don't really want kids. I'm pretty sure I don't want kids. She's pretty sure she doesn't want kids. I don't know if that's ever going to change. I don't see it changing. We're open to that if we change our minds, sure. But like, I don't see that happening. So ostensibly it's like, okay, we need a nice bedroom with a nice ensuite. We need at least one more bathroom. I want a 2-car garage. If I'm paying for a house, I should have a 2-car garage. That doesn't, have the option to either park both the cars in the garage, or she could park her car in the garage and I can have it for sort of dipshittery. And then a bath. off the ensuite, and then 2 more spare rooms that we could turn into offices. And then if there's a basement that has tall ceilings, that's a huge plus. If tall ceilings anywhere is a huge plus, really. You know, those cathedral ceilings, I love those. Even if that's just a living room, I like having space above my head because I'm a tall person. So that, you know, forget those, you know, and then I want a fridge that does side by side, you know, or the freezer on the bottom, one or the other. We waste so much food because I can't see it in the fridge, and then it goes bad. And I'm like, oh fuck, we had this the whole time, and then it's like this should have been thrown out months ago. So that's, you know, our apartment won't give us one of those bastards. It's been 5 years. Has it been 5 years? It'll be. We're going on the 5th year next year. So yeah, and I've always wanted to get Bear back into my house. He's getting old. I don't know how much longer we got with him. I've had him for 11 years, and he was 5 or 6 then. So, you know, he's up there. Even for a little dog, you know, they don't go past 20 usually. So, and Bear has not been, you know, he's gotten a lot of human food over the years, and he just can't take it. He's got no teeth left. Like, you can start to see him. His signs of age is really starting to catch up in this last year. But we love the little fucker, even though he's a real crotchety old man. Like, he's gotten really annoying, and so. But it is what it is, you know. You love your pets, and you sign up for the commitment, for all the good times, and then the one really bad day. So yeah, there's that. Yeah, the pull-up, paying off debt, and then buying the house. And so this month is I feel, and I'm treating it like, you know, I said yesterday, it's garbage time. This is a time where, like, nothing really matters because there's really not work happening. But I am going to be focusing on the long shots, you know, what you call them, because you think about now is the time I have time to experiment, practice, and test out long shots as they were, because the reality is, like, I could raise my rates with clients, and I chronically undervalue myself, and I'm probably undercharging several of them, especially when you think about what my production company charges, because I've got 2 other guys that are like, we're not charging that little, like, we're charging at least this, and people keep saying yes to us, so obviously this price up here is not that high, whereas I'm, you know, down here quite a bit. But I'm also working for a lot of nonprofits, and I enjoy working with a lot of them, so, you know, I'll probably raise the rates a little bit with them, because you know, and then I talk to other photographers, and I'm finding out, you know, they're charging way more than I am, even to nonprofits that are small, and I'm like, whoa, bro, that's no wonder nonprofits aren't hiring you that much. Because I realize, like, a lot of these, you know, I think that I do good work, and I'm not ashamed, or, you know, I'm not egotistical to be like, oh, I'm amazing. I am good at what I do, but also I like working, so there's that, and I like what some of these nonprofits are doing. I like their mission, and I would like to support that, and I feel like part of the way I do that is by charging less. But also I know that there is a part in the back of my brain that's imposter syndrome that's like, you're not worth more than that, you fucko. And so when the production company charges this, I'm like, Jesus Christ, we charged them how much? It's a little bit of the imposter syndrome, really, like, phew. So, but the nonprofit stuff, I like working on a regular basis. It keeps me sharp, and it keeps me improving, and I've noticed that, like, I am really good at what I do. Because there are people that I know that charge more than me, and I'll hire them to, like, help me second, and I'll get their photos back, and I'm like, get the ones that are great, you know. And it is that, like, you're only seeing other people's highlight reels, and when you're editing other people's photos, that becomes very apparent. It's like, oh wow, no wonder you only share 5 photos from each thing you do, because you only took like 30 that are like really good. The 30 you took were fucking amazing, don't get me wrong, but like there's a lot of shit in here. And whereas I feel like with my stuff, I am not, my best shots aren't as good as their best shots, but the average quality per photo is much higher. And for the type of work I do, where the client doesn't know how they're going to need to use the photos, I think my work is much from that marketing communications perspective, because I've had so many great communications people tell me, give me feedback, and be like, we want, more of this, more of this. I've had art directors be like, we don't know what this is going to be, this is going to be for everything, so it needs to have this, and so my brain can work with that and be like, okay, like, I'm not just being like, here's one great shot, here you go, but like, okay, here's your one great shot, but now this doesn't work as a pamphlet cover, it doesn't work vertical, it doesn't have enough graphic space, so my brain just automatically is in tune to that, and here you go, here's several options that all fit those, like, boom, this will work for a banner, boom, this will work for a pamphlet, boom, this will work vertically, and boom, this will work square, boom, this has got tons of graphic space up top, boom, this has got tons of graphic space down below, boom, this has got tons of right justified graphic space, boom, this has got tons of left, so you think about that, it's like, there's 9 options for each sort of shot, each setting, each shot of, like, this one guy talking. Here's 9 good options. None of them are as good as these other people are doing, but they're not giving 8 alternatives. So that's where I think the bulk of my value lies, in giving people options, which, when you need that one shot and you have to try to force that one great shot to work for the format it doesn't really work in, you could tell. So raising my rates, obviously, but the YouTube thing scales infinitely. It's like, I think about, my other channel is making a little over $1,000 a month, and this channel makes like no money, but I still love doing it. I think talking it out helps me figure it out, probably because I don't have a lot of really close friends, and there's a lot of reasons for that, but I think because I'm so introverted, and I've had so many, like, I've only ever usually had just like one close friend at a time, and right now it's my wife, so like, she's the one that gets the earful, and then I have a blanket of acquaintances, like, and people joke often that we're on shoots and I'll go places, and then invariably like 6 or 7 people will know me, maybe not that many, but it's usually like, hey Ben, what's up? And so people are just like, well, you know everybody, and it's like, well, yeah, because I do all this work all over the place, and I get to know people, but it's very surface level, and I don't have a lot of people I can just really hit with this kind of stuff, and so the camera kind of becomes my best friend in a way, and you, the audience, but even the audience, comes and goes too, so yeah, and I'm gonna keep doing this, but the White Noise channel is making, $1,000, and I've got other ideas for other channels that I think could do well, and so I want to get those off the ground next year, and really kind of focus on next year being the year of YouTube, and experimenting and improving my skill at talking to the camera, and writing quickly, which more importantly really is being able to churn, because I feel like the biggest thing with YouTube is that YouTube is a numbers game. Whether or not people want to admit that, a lot of people are like, oh, you gotta do it really good, and I'm always like, no, I think it's a numbers game, and it's such a crapshoot, and it's like, yes, like, the cream does rise to the crop, but think about your favorite YouTuber that has, more than 100,000 subscribers, which also subscribers don't really matter. It's a vanity metric. No one gives a shit. The number of subscribers has never mapped to my view counts. It does not matter at all. It's nice to have. It's probably good if you're trying to court advertisers. Squarespace, you probably need at least so many. But anyway, where was it going? Oh yeah, think about your favorite, YouTuber that has 100,000 views. Like, that person can make a living the same as the top echelon of YouTubers that have 1 million plus subscribers. And even that, when you think about 1 million plus subscribers, there's probably, I couldn't tell you how many there is, but there's probably way more people with 1 million subscribers than you think there is. There's probably thousands, easily thousands. But there's still people that are making $100,000 or 100,000 subscribers and less that are making their entire living off of YouTube. And so when you think about that, and you think about, like, if it's like, yeah, anybody can make a video that gets 100 views, sure, or 1,000 views. Let's say 1,000 views. That's a tougher bracket to notch up into, but it's not that tough. Anybody can make a video that gets 1,000 views. So if you need to make a living on YouTube, you just need to make however many, say, you need 10 million views over the course of a year. And so that is 10 million divided by 1,000 is it 100,000? That might be 100,000. No, I think it's 10,000. I think it's 10,000. So you have to make 10,000 videos that get 1,000 views each, which obviously that's not possible, but what if it was getting 10,000 views per video on average? My best video has 1 million views. And so think about that. That sounds really pipe dreamy, but the point is, it's like if you make 1,000 videos in a year, which is a fuckload. That's 3 a day on average, a little more than 3 a day. Actually, it might be a little less than 3 a day. So that's not too bad. You would invariably, doing 3 videos a day, figure out how to get a couple of those to get 100,000, 200,000, 1 million views, And so that would negate the ones that got 20 or 30 views. It would balance itself out with the effort and trying, as long as you weren't just doing the same thing over and over and over again, unless you were doing something and it was really casino games where it's like, oh, this is a saturated market. I made this one video and it got 1 million views, and then I made this basically the exact same video 10 more times and they got less than 1,000. But that's still the average. 1 million views, 1,000, whatever. That still works out to be 100,000 on average, right? So it's a numbers game, I think, and you get better at doing it, and you get better at figuring it out, and it takes some people longer than others. Been doing it for a decade. But also, I've also not put 3 videos a day out, And so I think it scales infinitely. So it's back to the whole point of the ramble, is that YouTube scales infinitely, and it's something I could do even when I'm injured or hurt, and it's something I can do without having a client be like, yep, we'll pay you for that, because I know I could just keep doing it. And as long as the internet and the power is on, and as long as my camera's working, and as long as the microphone is working, and at this point I've got so many cameras and so many microphones that it would take something horrific happening for me to not be able to keep making videos, and even then I could just make them on my phone. So we're in a place where now is the time where it makes sense to go after it, because I think it's a closing window, in that I think user-generated content will always be popular, but it's going to get harder and harder and harder, and especially with companies pushing the AI, and they're going to want, you look at like Spotify and record labels that are sneaking in AI albums. Like, that's going to happen with YouTubers, especially as AI gets good enough to not be, especially you think about like no-face channels and explainers. Like, people are already making that shit where AI generates a script and then AI generates the stock footage and AI can generate the voiceover. It's a human putting it together right now, but there's nothing stopping YouTube from hiring people to just make that for them and then paying that person a salary and then pushing those videos over actual user-created content. Like, there's nothing stopping them from doing that. Same, Spotify is already doing that, where they're pushing AI music because it's like they know they don't have to pay any artist royalties because it's their AI, it's theirs. So cease the means of production while you can. And then obviously take that money and, for the love of fuck, put it somewhere else where your money makes money for you. And that's kind of the game. And if I can do that well enough, hard enough, and long enough in the next year, I think I could be in a wildly different place a year from now, like mentally, emotionally, financially, and there's nothing stopping me. And I having that hope and having that fire kind of like ignited is like the first time in a while I've been like feeling the burning, and it's something I felt like right when I was starting photography, and I was like going out every day, and that's how I got good at photography. So I was going out every day, and it's like, what can I shoot? And I would go find things to shoot, or I would just go to a fucking park and I would try to make trees look interesting, or I would find models. I would beg friends, be like, let me take pictures of you, and they were shit. I took a lot of shitty fucking pictures. At this point, there's no way I haven't taken less than, in 15, 16 years, there's no way I've taken less than probably 3 million pictures. As you think about that, it's like, and I used to always say this, is like, to get a 1 in a million photograph, you have to take 1 million photos first. It's not that hard. You just go out there and push the button a bunch, and then you figure out how to make that interesting to you. This is interesting to me right now. I'm driven. If proof of concept it, because after 10 years of where some months I don't do anything, I can generate $1,000 a month. There's nothing stopping me from doing it. So, those are the things I want to do next year. And this is blowing in the wind. It's gonna be the next thing I'm doing is making some videos with these. Teaser. Anyway, hope you're doing well. Hope you're inspired. Hope you're excited to like go after this year with a fucking hatchet. Like, let's do it. Let's improve our station in life. We have a year to do it. Arbitrary. Set a time. That's the thing though, is like goals get achieved in the time you give them. So let's put a timeline on it, just to fucking give us a time hammer to like say, hey, the time for reading about it and watching this guy talk about it is over. I'm gonna go make the shittiest fucking YouTube video, if that's what you want to do. Or if you want to paint, you can go make the shittiest fucking painting you can, and then look at it and go, how can I make that better? And then try to make it just a little bit better. Make another shitty one, and then say, how can I make that better? And do it every day, or try to do it every day as often as you fucking can, as often as you limit. Figure out how to do it as cheaply as possible, and maybe that's like a fucking pencil. You could steal a fucking pen, and you could steal scratch paper. It's like, it should cost you nothing to fucking get an art. Go sketch. Get a dry erase board. You fucking don't even need paper. You just fucking doodle on a dry erase board. Erase it. Take a picture if you want to, and then erase it, and then fucking do it again. Just do that. Try to do it 15 minutes a day. Someone figured out 15 minutes in a day adds up to 100 hours. So it's like, fuck, what can you do in 15 minutes a day that builds up to 100 hours of something at the end of the year? Like, that's so much fucking shit. Like, why aren't we doing this? Let's fucking get it. Stop scrolling. We stop scrolling for like 2-3 hours a day. Fuck that. If I'm doing this bullshit for 2-3 hours a day, fuck, who fucking knows? I'm aiming to find out. I'm sick of scrolling. I'm sick of the goon bait. I'm sick of the AI slop. I'm sick of the fucking shitty podcast takes that are full of misinformation and not true. Done with all of it. I'm gonna try to do something so that I can pay off my debt and fucking buy a house and fucking, yeah, start putting some things in order on a bigger scale. That's it. That's the video for today. Hope you're doing well. And if not, I hope that turns around for real soon. And if you want to turn around 15 minutes a day, let's go fuck this